Hey everyone, for those who got interested in this video and clicked on it, to make this a really short and brief, this is basically a short explanation of my Afton or Williams or FNAF AU stuff, mainly focused on my version of Canonicity of William. Because I've been thinking a lot, because he could be edgy, I don't want to be stereotypical anymore, because I remember how weird that is, but then the more I started pondering on a lot of stuff that came to mind, there's one thing that I could think of that made this William that isn't just purely a psychopath who just instantly started experimenting as a kid when he learned Remnant. Because it's just my observation and what I can put together and give a William with a much clearer, and I guess basically I can make a more reasonable and sense making William. I mean, why he killed, why he do this. At least my way of thinking of it. Because as much as I like the edgy or psychotic version, I don't really feel that's like the people who make William purely psychotic and manipulative kind of crazy. Because I get William as a smart guy. He did a lot of things in this game. In the books, like they said, a separate canonicity. The only thing the books really do is fill in gaps that could explain stuff that's not explained in the game, like baby's little balls or how William even came to learn about Remnant. But I feel I have something that can make a lot more sense. Because I like to see William as a guy who cares about his family, but after everything that's happened over the years of FNAF lore based, he pretty much became psychotic, but he still loves his family. A way they could explain also motives. Basically, I'm explaining my William Afton. And the reason I didn't do like just a text story or a post on my comments, because face it, no one really reads them and my typing is very crappy, and it's much clearer to speak what I'm about to explain to you about my William Afton. Now let's first put a pause and keep this myself. This is my version, my AU, but this is what I consider a more sensible or will make more sense. The only thing that won't make sense about this AU or this William is the whole Remnant sci-fi stuff, but I think I know a way they could truly explain how William became psychotic, or at least what led William to become the man we know as the purple guy. Because there is some, when I watch a lot of theories, there's some stuff that does kind of poke me as that actually could be a big reason. And one of them we tell right now, starting with one word: grief. We know how grief works in this world. It's a powerful stage or emotional. I'm not sure if a bunch of emotions that affect us when it comes to the loss of a loved one. Now, as I'm explaining this, I'm gonna ask you guys to please listen carefully as I try to explain the best I can. For starters, I don't know what order the 5 stages of grief go in. I know there's bargaining, anger, sadness, denial, and acceptance. Now, let's put this thought of, what if someone never completed the 5 stages of grief? Because people go do a lot of stuff because how powerful grieving over a lost one is. Now, keep on, I don't remember how the lore of the timeline goes, like who died first. I kind of forgot, but let's put this into a very perspective of a person who does love his family and isn't just using it to experiment on them. Like, there has been a reason besides just one coming. I mean, why would he even get so obsessed with becoming immortal in the first place? That's the biggest reason. He wouldn't just do it because he wanted to. I know there are a lot of psychotic people like that, but I don't think that's the case with William Afton. Well, like, how would he even know Remnant could be a chance to get me immortal before he even learned about Remnant? So keep in mind, this is going to be a bit messy. Now, as I was saying, grief. One of Matt Pat's theories was how he explained the William's hell and all, and how Ballora represented the woman William used to love or like had in his life, and how he wanted to let her in, but just couldn't do it because of his grief. Even the song explains about an empty room, an empty tomb, a man who shut everyone out. Now, sadness can take effect in many ways, but let's take this event of FNAF in a way grief can be affected be effect of his actions. First off, I think sadness is first, and I mean, he could shut everyone out. That's probably easiest out of the way. But then anger, probably being hated that everyone gets to live a happy life with their family while he lost his own. I mean, anger is a very powerful emotion. People do crazy stuff, and sometimes even go overboard with their anger. But that could be a reason why he probably started killing Charlie in the first place. A close friend that used to be known as Henry's, at least the daughter of his friend, and I guess loss of a child, his anger got the best of him and resulted in Charlie's death. At the same time, keep in mind, I'm not the 100% lore accurate, but it would explain part of his actions. Him starting to kill kids out of anger. Or maybe I know Charlie's was the first to die, but that could be a result of his anger and just leave it in a back alley. And then here's where things start kicking hard, where it would make sense. Again, who knows what could happen to a person's mentality when they don't finish their 5 stages of grief. So, let me get a deep breath. Let's start off with the next most biggest part that I think could be explain a lot of William's actions. Bargaining. The stage bargaining, which usually results on them trying to find a way to either, like, it's another version of the novel, but like try to find ways to either live longer, try to find a way to get the kid back, like, bargaining. So let's put this in perspective. Bargaining is a more likely reason why somebody could become obsessed with it. People search many ways of trying to bargain during the grief, either to try to live longer or you get what bargaining means. It's kind of hard to put me into words I can explain, but it could be partially the reason why Afton became soon so obsessed with Remnant and trying to become immortal to even start. Because think about it, if he never got past the phase of bargaining, it could because he learned about a real way to become immortal, a way to live forever. Maybe to even make his family live forever. Does that start clicking in your mind? A man who has not passed the state of bargaining and soon slowly became obsessed with Remnant because it was he discovered it. I don't know how he discovered it, but when William discovered Remnant, he could have been in his bargaining phase of his stages of grief. And that soon became his obsession because he never got past that. Soon he started doing what we know as he does. He started killing kids, or at least kill the kids for experimentation wise on the subject of Remnant, because as the book stated, he has experimented on Remnant before with the main 4 animatronics to try to become immortal. But you get what I'm meaning. If you were going through grief and you learned you could become immortal, or better yet, make your own family immortal, you will probably chase after that goal at any cost because you're still in your bargaining phase. You become obsessed with this idea that you can become immortal or make your family immortal, which could result in a lot of things. My whole idea of William is becoming obsessed with Remnant that sparked him on his path that he is on now. And as we know how the story goes, it could fit into a lot of situations of why he did it, why he even started experimenting. Heck, because I highly doubt. Hopefully, if you guys hear anything in the background, it's because my TV is playing. But as I was saying, people can become obsessed with Remnant. It could explain why he started experimenting, why he started doing everything with the game. He became obsessed after he learned about it through his phase of bargaining, and he has not yet got past the bargaining phase, which could spiral out of control and just let the rest of the FNAF story go as it is. And think about it. How would you feel, or even if you came back to life after dying a tormentable, painful way and being locked in a safe room for 30 years? That could take a toll on your mental capacity. Summing up, what I'm saying is, I think William did love his family. I mean, seriously, even if he did make the machines to kill, one of the kids would have to die before them to be in the stages of grief. But if he really was a manipulative asshole, why would he bother making EB? He could have just let her go to her and let her die if she really wanted to kill his family to make them immortal, or at least try to experiment on them. But clearly it seems that he never wanted Elizabeth to go near CB in the first place. Like, I mean, that's just a poor version of a manipulation that I don't even believe in. Make it something for her and tell her not to go near it when she clearly wants to go near it. And then over and over and over tell her not to go near her. What does making her not go near it accomplish for terms of manipulation? Think about it. Anyways, my point is he could have been grieving over one of his children's death during the timeline of FNAF and never got past the stage of bargaining. And ever since then, he's been obsessed with Remnant. So much that it will lead him to his own demise. And then being locked in a safe room for 30 years can probably definitely take a toll on your sanity levels. I mean, think about one of those asylums where you're locked in a room, tied down like crazy, and just sit there for like 30 years. 30 years, for crying out loud. So my point is, in this concept, William does love his family more than you think, enough to go to the risk to make everyone immortal, or at least some form of mortality. Sending Mike to sophistication will have been definitely a death sentence since he knows how the machines work. But the point is, he wouldn't have started Remnant if he hadn't been hooked on the grief. I mean, if he was a smart enough man, he would have known better not to even bother with Remnant. Or heck, he wouldn't even learn about Remnant if he hadn't started killing. William loves his family. So stating all that I've explained here, it could make a good William Afton. It could still lead to him becoming glitched out, becoming a mental psychopath. But in the end, he still loved his family because that's what was his main purpose in all of this during his phases of grief. So in the end, he wasn't just a pure psychopath from the start. I mean, seriously, he was that sick-minded just from the start of birth. Anyways, that's my William.